So this is a follow-up from the last tutorial where I was able to use the pipeline. So let's go into the last script, and when retrieving the data I had created this pipeline, and I was able to query dates which I had already converted to a date object within Mongo, and I was able to retrieve a segment, a filter of the data that I needed. But let's say, for example, you have some unstructured data and you have strings, you don't have date objects, so you've got the data in and you've got these strings and you cannot perform a date range query on that data within Mongo. So in Spark you can actually convert the date. So this is something that I would also like to show you. So the thing about that is, we're going back to the idea of pulling in all of the data, but that's the beauty of Spark, right? So it's pretty heavyweight, and if you needed to do that, if your data wasn't as you needed it and you needed to perform some transformations on it, then Spark is really great for that. So let's go to the basics, back to the basics. Well, actually I will just make a copy of this file, and I will call that check something here. Oh, I actually forgot the py on the end of my script. Okay, let me just quickly clean that up. Okay, so yeah, let's make a copy of that. And we'll call that 7 and convert to string, or convert string to date.py. Okay, so here we have it. Okay, so let's get rid of some stuff here. So yeah, let's get rid of the date, and we'll also get rid of the pipeline. And we'll get rid of the option for the pipeline. Alright, so we run our query, we've got new df, and below that this is where we will do our conversion. So within the data frame, we will specify with column. So we're going to take an existing column, which is created I'm going to show a picture of how small these keys are, and you'll see why I jump all over the place. Created date cleaned. So this will be the name of our new column, and just before I do that, I'll need to import functions. So from pyspark.sql import functions as f. So it's a bit easier to work with an abbreviation using f rather than the full name functions, and you'll see why. And here we're going to use the function, and that function is going to be a regular expression. And within that regular expression, we'll specify the created date, and we'll put the regular expression pattern. So, and I'll explain, I'll write this and I'll try and explain as I'm writing, but I'll come back and I'll explain each piece. So beginning of the string, we're going to look for A to Z, A to Z, and any number of characters. And I'll come back and explain what that's doing. And we're going to replace it with blank, empty. Okay. Okay, so that's a column that I've created. I've just done a little bit of cleaning. And let's see if I've got it over here actually. Okay, so yeah, so here I've got this date format. So I've got this string which is the weekday, and what I'm doing, I'm just replacing that with an empty string. So it's not really the right way to do it, because there is a date formatter provided by Java. And but I noticed it hadn't worked for me, so that's why I'm doing a bit of a workaround and just getting rid of that part of the beginning of the string using that regular expression and replacing it with an empty space. And then once I get rid of that, then I can do the date formatting on the rest of that string. So that works absolutely fine. So with column, the next thing I want to do is create a timestamp. I'm going to create a full timestamp, and this is the name of my new column for a new timestamp. So I'm going to take, so the first bit up here, the first line up here is my regex, where I'm doing my cleaning. So I'm creating a new column called created date cleaned, and I've removed that weekday string from the beginning of the string, date string, and then in the second column I'm creating where I've named it created timestamp. I'm then going to use the cleaned column. So I'm going to say to timestamp, and the column will be created date cleaned. And then I'm then going to use the Java script formatter, date formatter, and that way I can clean my date. So I've got an empty space where I replaced with a empty space, so I need to specify that. And I've got the month, which is an abbreviation of 3 letters, and then I've got day, hour, minute, seconds, time zone, and year. Okay, get rid of that empty space. And then I'm going to put an additional column in there, and that column is not going to be a timestamp with the time, date, seconds, etc. It's just going to be the date, which is a lot easier to query. Created date, and that's going to be to date, and you can see where I'm using the abbreviation F. So instead of using functions, if I just abbreviate it, it's just a lot easier to read and write within my code. So the column which I'm going to perform that operation on will be created timestamp, and again I need to specify the date formatter. So let's just copy that over here. Okay, and we can get rid of that space at the beginning. Okay, and I think that is Okay, just need to put a bracket on the end, or not a bracket, a parentheses. Okay, so new df show, and we're going to show all the rows. In this case, I'm not going to show all the rows. I'm just going to do a minimized show of 20 rows, and hopefully that should be okay, and that won't give us any errors except for this bit here. And where else? Just have a quick scan. Okay, I think that should be okay. Okay, right, let's give that a try. Just clear that. Wrong file. Okay, so I've got some incorrect matching, so let's go in there and clean that. I'm always getting errors, so let's go in there and clean that up. Okay, what does that say again? It says line 32, unmatched, parentheses, line 32. Oh, okay, I've got it here, and I've got it here. Okay, let's give that a spin. And I forgot that F on regular expressions there, so regex replace. That's what I need. Okay. Okay, so here you can see that we've done the conversion on the date. So this is the Twitter string, and I've created the cleaned one where I've removed the weekday from the beginning of the string. I then just have January, etc., and then I can perform a date formatting on it. So I've converted that using Spark's date formatter to a timestamp, and then the third column or the last column for date is just the date itself. So now I can just do a very clean SQL on that date, and that goes all the way back to January 2020, the 24th. So let's just let's add our SQL in there. So I've got the SQL here. I'm not really using that. So let's get rid of a few things here, and let's do this a little bit differently. So I've got df, let's put the new df directly afterwards. And so the first df and then we've got df, I'll call that df1, and then df1, that's where I'll write my query, and then new df, well, let's just call that df2. That'll be my query. Okay, so that looks a little bit cleaner. So so here I've got my initial data frame where I've loaded in my Mongo data, Twitter data, and then I am transforming that data frame to add 3 columns: created date cleans, created timestamp, and created date. I'm then running a query. I've then created my temporary view for that data frame, and I've named it Twitter User Timeline Guardian. And then my SQL query, I'm just going to modify that as well. That's where I perform. This is where I perform my SQL query, and then I'm creating a new df called, or data frame called df.02. Now, within my SQL query, what I want to do is just write a query as you do normally do with SQL. So I want to say where created date is between (2020) 0501 and 2020 05 and 31. Okay. Right, I think that looks okay, and I think we can run that. So let's run it, and we shall get the results that we need. New f is not defined, so let me go back into that and change it to df2. And there we have it. So we've queried the data in between the 31st to the 30th. Sorry, between the 1st to the 30th. We've got April there, and I'm guessing that's because of the time zone conversion. Why we've got that. So it's an ISO format, and you can see that that is probably within the time zone. Which extends out to April 30th. So let's just ensure that we've got all of that data. So we'll do a df 02 dot show, sorry, count. Okay. Okay, so you can see it goes all the way up to May 31st, sorry, May 30, within that time range of the 1st to the 31st. So I've imported all of the data, and I've been able to convert the date range within Spark and then write an SQL query on top to get the data I need. Now the other thing that I want to show you is, instead of doing a show, let's do a Python loop of that data. So I will say for row in df.rdd, and to actually get the data, because we've been showing the data, but to actually get the data, then you need to do a collect, and you're doing the collect on the RDD. So it's just going to be a straightforward print row. So let's just, I mean, I could print the entire column with row, and that would be a dictionary. But then if I want to get to actual values, then it will be row created at, and we'll get another column which will be row dot full text, and we'll give that a spin. Okay, so let's just minimize that a little bit so we can see it. So what we've done, we've just iterated throughout all of the rows between the 1st to the 30th, and so we have the date here, we've got the full text, and yeah, you can then you can do whatever you need to do to the data. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay, cheers.